is going
Things are
with
great.
you?
Things are great. Things are great. Beautiful
What?
day. No, I was asking how is the weather down there
Nothing
in
happened?
Jeddah?
It is a great, yes. But I see you
Nice.
have glasses. I don't know if it is the first time you wear glasses or what. I
Oh
think
no,
you
I've
were.
I've I've always worn glasses. Always.
You may change your glasses. Is
Maybe
it the
I don't
same?
remember, but maybe. I think it is the same actually, Humor. I think it's the same.
Okay. But I see
Yeah.
something changeable. I don't know what it is.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe it's a good change. Hopefully it's a good change, right?
Okay.
Let's see. I'm just going to do
Maybe
one
the board.
thing.
Is it a
Maybe
board
the
or
what? Oh
is it?
yeah, this board in the back. Yep. This board in the back is new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, right? And yeah, how was your weekend? Did you do, or I guess the weekend was a few days ago. How was your Friday? Last week, did you do anything interesting?
Actually, nothing special. Just to stay home.
Just staying at home.
Uh, yes.
Nice, nice. That's good. And sometimes it's good to relax at home sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else coming up for us. This week is actually one of the most busy weeks for travel and for holidays in the United States because we have it's the Thanksgiving weekend. So Thursday, and then Thursday is considered the main day for
Thanksgiving.
celebration. Thanksgiving, yeah, it's a day of celebration. It's a more historical day, when in the early 16th or in the early 17th century, or I should say the late 17th century. So in the 1600s, 1660, that neighborhood, when the Europeans first came to North America, they had help from the native population, and they were able to kind of design their future. They were able to survive the winter, survive all of the difficulties of 300 years ago when they came to this country, and they used this day to thank God for surviving the winter, for surviving all the troubles that they had. So it's a day that we use to give thanks, right? It's not a religious holiday, just a secular, you know, people are thankful for what they do, and the principal attracting element is food, lots of food. It's like the Eid
Feast.
al-Adha. It's like the Eid al-Adha of the United States. Everybody eats, everybody donates a lot of food to the poor people, for example, to family members. And the most important thing about Thanksgiving is actually turkey. So people eat a lot of turkey. I don't know if turkey is popular in Saudi Arabia or not, but it's larger than a chicken, usually. It has a different
Yes, I
taste.
know it. I know it.
Yeah, yeah. Is it popular over there as well, or is it not that popular?
No, it is not popular, but sometimes people eat it, or rarely. You
Yeah,
see some people eat it.
rarely.
Yes.
Here it's actually a pretty common. Here it's pretty common. I just yesterday I had a turkey sandwich. They have chicken, they have turkey, they eat all kinds of things, but turkey is pretty popular here. But Thanksgiving it's extremely popular. I mean, everybody decides to eat turkey. The dinner table they each get a piece of turkey, so it's a nice experience for people when they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
And let's
chicken?
see, let's
What
well,
about chicken? Is it
chicken
popular in the
people.
United States?
Oh, in the United States, yeah, super popular, super popular. Everybody eats chicken, but it's also one of those
Which is
situations.
most? Which one is most popular?
Definitely
Turkey
chicken.
or
Definitely chicken.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. Definitely chicken is more popular, but turkey is also you see it in many places, restaurants, uh, sandwich meat. If you go to a cafe or something like that, they will probably have something with chicken, something with turkey, something with ham, and something vegetarian. Beef is you can also maybe find beef or ham, and then something vegetarian. So 4 or 5 popular options, most
Yeah.
places. Yeah. Hey Laura, how's it going?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. It's morning here too. Exactly. What time is it over there? Is it 10 o'clock?
Well, actually, it's 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys are 5 hours ahead of me now. I'm in California, so 5 hours.
hmm
Yeah. Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
we are not in morning anymore now, but
It's good
for
afternoon.
me,
Yeah.
it's like a morning.
Uh-huh. Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. That's great. We have a good number of students actually. This class time was actually very popular a few days ago. Maybe like 6 or 7 students. But things happen. I guess today's a work day, so it's understandable that maybe people are busy. So we'll get started, guys. We'll get gradually started in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Today we're going to be talking about articles, right? Articles are kind of it's a topic that may seem simple when you first look at it, right? But in reality, excuse me, excuse me, guys. Sorry, I had a sneeze attack my last class, and I think the same thing will happen in this class. I apologize for that, guys. So when we talk about articles, guys, right? Articles may seem a little difficult, right? Or they may seem simple actually, but they actually have specific kind of rules and ways you use them that make them important in English, right? Usually when we talk about articles, we talk about 3 different words. We talk about the or the, depending on how you pronounce it, a, and, right? So these are the 3 primary examples of articles in English, right? And we use them different ways. We use them different ways. A and an are related to each other, but the is a little bit more nebulous. It's sometimes we use it for specific things, sometimes we use it for a little bit more kind of general things, right? So we have some new people. Marcelo, professor, tudo beleza, professor?
Tudo beleza, professor? Como vai?
Muito bem, muito bem. Você?
Tudo bem também?
Great, fantastic. Welcome, welcome.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I just got your
Obrigado,
me
obrigado.
I just got your message, Marcelo. I will respond to you in maybe a few hours, I think. I have some ideas for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely, Marcelo. Hey, Kwang, how's it going? I can hear you. I think you have to just try again.
It's going fine, thank you, teacher.
Great, great, awesome, awesome. Welcome again, Kwang. Welcome again. So, guys, we were just going over the basic layout, the basic outline of today's class, right? So we're talking about articles. So we have the, a, and an, right? We have the 3 articles, and we use them in different ways, right? So I wanted to start the discussion actually by taking a look at what we are doing how we use each one, right? How we use each of these types. So when we use the word the, right, or the, depending on how you pronounce it, right? When we use the word the, we say, for example, it can be used for both singular and plural nouns, right? So the man or the children, right? Doesn't matter if it's singular or plural. And we use it when we are introducing something in a conversation, or when we are talking about something that is just known to everybody, right? It's not something that requires any kind of explanation, right? So if you say something, if you talk about, you know, anything really, the book, the phone, the computer, right? You don't have to give any kind of context, right? When you hear the word, you have a picture in your mind, okay? He's talking about something you read, the book, right? Something you watch, the movie, right? So any general kind of noun that is known to everybody, we use the, right? And we also use it for when we are introducing someone in a conversation. So let's say, for example, I'm at the store and I have to ask somebody a question because I don't know where something is, right? I don't know where I need to buy something, no idea. So I can ask a person, where is the pasta, right? Where's the pasta, right? And I'm introducing something in a conversation. He's never met me before. He just works there. I'm asking, where is the pasta, Not where is a pasta or where is an pasta, but where is the pasta, right? Known to everybody. Very easy very easy word. You think about it, you know what it is, and we're introducing it in a conversation, right? So that's primarily how we use the word the, right? That's the main way we use the. Any questions on that, guys?
No
We're okay.
question.
Awesome. Thank you, Marcelo. I think we're okay, guys, with that one. I'm going to spend a little bit of time, guys. Stop me whenever. Stop me anytime you guys have a question, right? Don't hesitate. I'm going to use a little bit of time now to talk about the the specificity, excuse me, wow, English is not my friend today. The specificity of the word the, right? So we use the for some specific instances, right? And largely, I want you guys to think about geography, okay? Geography is probably the most concrete kind of area where we see a lot of does in geography, right? We use a lot of does in geography. So first and foremost, let's think about, for example, if we think about oceans, right? The Pacific Ocean, right? If we think about rivers, the Amazon River, right? Or the Nile River, right? We use all these types of examples. Oh, sorry guys. I'm gonna have to mute myself. Give me 1 second. When she actually gets back to me, I will talk to her. Sorry about that, guys. So in the meantime, when we use geography, right? So when we see, for example, the Pacific Ocean, the Nile River, right? Those kinds of things, we use the word the, right? We also use the word the when we are talking specifically about areas in the world, like mountains, like the Rocky Mountains, right? Or I don't know, anything you want to say, the Andes, right? Many different examples that we use of mountains, geographical areas, right? So the first one is oceans. The second one would be mountains, right? We can also think about seas, right? The Black Sea, the Red Sea, right? The exception is lakes, right? We actually don't use the word the for lakes. We just say lake, I don't know, Michigan, Lake Baikal. I always use Baikal because I don't know any other lakes, right? Lake Nicaragua is one in Central America, right? So we don't use the with lakes, but we use the with any other kind of body of water. The Gulf of Mexico, the Indian Ocean, the Nile River, right? All these kinds of examples. And then we also, when we are focusing on the word the, right, since we're thinking of geography, we also use it for deserts and forests, right? So the Black Forest, the Sahara Desert, right? The Atacama Desert in South America, for example, right? And then we use the when we're talking about specific names of the official names of countries, okay? So the Federal Republic of Brazil, right? The United States of America, the People's Republic of China, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, right? DPRNK, right? It's extremely, it doesn't matter how long it is, right? The official name of a country, we always use the word the, right? Last but not least, right? Still thinking about geography. Sorry, guys. Still thinking about geography, we use, for example, any of the imaginary lines on the globe. The equator, right? The Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, right? Those lines that go around the world. The international date line, right? Just imaginary. But that's what we use when we use the, right? Any questions, guys, about the use of the? I think we're okay, right? Thumbs up? Okay, thumbs up. Going once, going twice, sold. Okay, you guys are sold on this answer, or on this lesson. So I wanted to ask you guys, right, I'm going to transition to the question that I had for you guys now. The question is, how do people in your country, in today's article we're going to talk about indigenous cultures, indigenous celebrations, right? Specifically something in Brazil called the Indigenous Games, right? And when I first read about this, I was very surprised that we don't know more about this celebration. It was something that we found that I found in a kind of hidden away in one of the newspapers, right? Not something I found like on the front pages of CNN or something like that. So the Indigenous Games, right? That's what we're going to talk about in the article. How do people in your country celebrate Indigenous culture, right? Or how do the people in your country, we can use an article, how do they celebrate Indigenous culture? Do they, for example, how much do people know about tribes and civilizations that are indigenous to your country, right? And what do I mean by that? In the United States, we have many tribes of Native Americans, right? And people don't know a lot about them, right? Their population is extremely small. What about in your countries? So let's start with Quang. Quang, in Vietnam, do they have interesting celebrations celebrating the indigenous people of your country? Or how do they celebrate? How do people know about the indigenous people, the native people?
Teacher, there are a lot of indigenous people in my country. People celebrate a lot of things. For example, um, people celebrate the moon. You know, the moon. They pray for the moon, and they usually celebrate the racing board to and pray for the moon. Pray the moon to have a lucky time, and people you know through release the lanterns, you know.
Yeah, they release lanterns into the sky, right?
Yeah, that you read the lantern in the sky and release the lantern on the river for the lucky.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
But how do other Vietnamese people, Quang, how do they learn about these native people? Do they have celebrations, or can you go to the village, to the countryside and see them, or are they very hard to find? And how does someone in Hanoi or some other city, how do they know about? How can they find out more?
Um, and now that many people celebrate the the festival together with the indigenous people. They a long time ago they didn't know, but now today they know that they celebrate together with the indigenous people.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Have you been there before, Quang? Have you been to one of these celebrations?
That every year, I celebrating the festival every year.
That's great.
Yeah.
And when does it happen in the year? Is it in the summer, the winter?
It just 1 week ago. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just missed it.
Yeah.
I should have maybe learned a little bit more about it, but no, that's great. That's great, Quang. Especially because people who live in the city, people who live in many parts of the country, right? I'm really glad that Vietnamese people can actually interact with the people from the native tribes and things like that. That's great. Marcelo, what about you, man? This article is specific to Brazil. I know Brazil, in the western part of Brazil, Amazonas, Manaus, those cities, right? They have a lot of cultures. But how does the average person in Brazil interact with these indigenous cultures, or do they not interact?
Yeah, I think they don't interact with these people. But talking about competition, I think there are some kinds of competitions among the tribes, indigenous, that are kind of like to run, running, or to take heavy wood. What is they make a competition between them.
To take logs, yeah, logs
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So then, I mean, but how many non-indigenous people go to these celebrations? The people from Rio or Sao Paulo, do they go and see the celebrations?
I don't know. I've never seen it before, and I don't
Yeah.
know how can they made it.
Uh-huh.
How can they? I've never seen a celebration, indigenous celebration before. I've never seen before.
Do they by chance show some of these celebrations on TV or on the news?
Just in TV we see it, just in
Mm-hmm.
TV. But it's not normal to see it in TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's horrible.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it's we will learn more about it. So yeah, Hamoud, when we were talking about logs, right? Logs are those big pieces of wood, like circle pieces of wood, like tree trunks. When you cut a tree, you get logs, right? That people carry on their shoulders, for example, in a competition, or the military also, when you are getting trained for the military, they like to give you difficult exercises. And one of the exercises is carrying a log, maybe 7 or 8 people, 7 or 8 men carrying one big log on their shoulder, like, oh, oh, oh. That's how they do it. I've seen it before in many types of shows like that. But Humud, I wanted to ask you as well. I
Package.
know. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you mean that it is a package of wood, for example?
Yes,
We
it's
use
not
it
a.
for
It's actually not a package of wood, but it's more like it's actually just a part of the tree itself, right? So it's the. Let me actually show you a picture. Humud, give me one
the
second.
outside part of
Um,
the tree. Is it the
yeah,
outside
or
part of the tree?
actually, it is the outside part of the tree, yeah, but let me show you exactly what I mean. So this is the link here, kind of a big link, but it has if you click it, you'll see that it has you can see the logs, right? So
Yes, yes,
people can carry them on
yes,
their
I can
shoulder,
see.
yeah. Yeah. So that's
Yes,
what we mean by logs, right? People can carry logs and things like that in different kinds of celebrations, or also for the military for training. Um, so Humud, what about in I know in Saudi Arabia they really are, maybe just the Bedouins are the indigenous people, right? Um, but how do we celebrate? How do people in Saudi Arabia celebrate indigenous culture, traditional culture? Are there ways that you guys do that?
yes. Sometimes we celebrate in the wedding.
In the weddings, uh-huh.
We we yes.
What do you guys do at the
We
weddings? Go
we
ahead, yeah.
we we
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
we are the men go in a queue, like a queue, I think. You know what I mean?
In
Queue,
a queue or in a line? Yeah, we can say line
queue.
in the
In line,
uh-huh.
yes.
Yeah.
Queue or in line. Yes. Then someone start to say poetry. He is a boy. He is a poet, and he start to say a poem.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a dome, I think. A dome, or what does it mean?
Like
Like
a
music, like a
like a
music,
duff,
but
like
I
a duff,
don't know it.
in Arabic.
Dove,
Uh,
yeah, dove, yes, but
it's called a
dove
drum in
and
English, like a
tabla,
drum. Uh-huh.
yes, drum.
Drums, uh-huh.
And we start to dance. The men start to dance.
The men start to
Yes,
dance, right? And is there like what
but
kind of
it is
food?
not a dance like what we see in the TV.
Uh-huh.
It
It's
is
it's a
different.
it's a much more kind of traditional dance, right?
Yes, traditional.
Traditional dance, yeah. I've seen on TV what they do at some of these dances. All the men, they stand up and they start kind of. They also have sword fights or sword dance. They take the swords and they dance with the swords. Very interesting culture, and
Yes, yes, that's it.
yeah. There's a lot of food
Yes,
also, right?
yes, we have food after at 8 or maybe 10 p.m. at night.
Uh-huh.
And we have sheep. We have more than 40 sheep
40 sheep.
for the wedding. Yes,
That's a lot of sheep.
the host should kill maybe 40 sheep
Wow,
for the wedding,
that's a lot
for the
of food.
guests.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, no, I think Saudi culture definitely there's a lot of traditional kind of culture, and they do a good job, I think, of keeping that alive in their culture as well. So, um, yeah, Marcelo, I remember seeing that photo before, right? Uh, doesn't it make you feel so blessed that with all the things that we have, Marcelo?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
they enjoy a lot with this kind of table. You know, I don't know the name of
Yeah.
that in English.
Pool table, pool table.
Pool table, yeah, pool table.
You can say pool table and that's in American English, or you can say billiards in British English, billiards.
Billiards. Yeah, in Brazil we say bilhar.
Billiard.
It's similar, yeah, bilhar, bilhar.
Yeah, but it's these these children they have nothing, but they are still having fun, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for sharing the different ideas of culture, right? The different indigenous cultures in your countries. There are so many different indigenous cultures, right? But now you look at the countries of the world and we have one dominant culture, right? You come to America and they call America the melting pot, right? So melting pot means, for example, a big pot, just imagine a pot. You throw everything inside. You throw some Brazilian food, you throw some Saudi food, you throw some Vietnamese food, you throw some Indian food, and every country in the world melt together, become one country, right? That's the United States. But before, when we say American culture, we talk about that melting pot. But before, just 200 years ago, I mean, we had amazing civilizations here, right? All the tribes, the Native Americans, all the indigenous people, and we don't have any idea about them anymore, right? They are gone from history. So it's great to see that other countries have kind of remained faithful to some of the indigenous countries. I guess, or some of the indigenous tribes. I guess in the colonial world, if you look at Brazil, the Western Hemisphere, right? The indigenous population was really destroyed by the Portuguese in South America, the Spanish in South America and Central America, and the British and the French and the Spanish in North America, right? So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for people to have their own traditions, but we are trying to celebrate them today. So that's what we're talking about, guys, in this article, right? And I'm going to get started. Once again, guys, anytime you guys have any questions about anything I mentioned in the article, right, or anything else that we talk about, please feel free to let me know, right? Just don't even hesitate. Just ask me a question. So let's get started, guys, and let's learn about these indigenous games that are happening in Brazil, right? And I am surprised that we did not hear about this more, that this was not more popular. Unfortunately, even the media doesn't seem to care too much about something like this, right? So let us take a look at this article. So let me screen share, guys. Says, okay, desktop. Okay, fantastic. All right, guys, here we go. Okay. Dozens of tribes gather in Brazil for indigenous games, celebrating sport and culture, right? So look at this. Look at this amazing, amazing picture by this person, right? We have this person, he looks ferocious, right? But this is his indigenous costume, right? And we have these other indigenous folks that are celebrating their culture. They're wearing their traditional clothing. We have another person here. You can see that I don't know how this man was able to put this through his nose, but it looks kind of painful. Maybe he's an expert. And you see here, his face, the war paint, the feathers on his head, right? We can also see, for example, these are some other folks with their body color, or I guess they're not wearing body paint, but they're wearing their hats and things like that. And we can also see this here. We have body paint here, so they're wearing body paint. They all have their feathers and their kind of traditional clothing. Last but not least, this is a really cool example, right? Somebody using a bow and arrow, right? So this is what we call the bow in English. This is the bow. This is the arrow. So together they're bow and arrow, right? And we have he's very excited. He seems to be very focused, right? Super focused. And there we go. Those are the pictures, right? So let's take a look, guys, and let's see what these folks are doing. So we're looking at the city of Cuiabá, Brazil, right? Body paint in place of uniforms, bare feet instead of high-tech shoes, and a loose notion of competition that assigns little value to winning, right? Welcome to the 12th Indigenous Games being held in Brazil's Amazon region, a cultural as much as athletic event that many are calling a holistic alternative to the big sporting extravaganzas Brazil will host in the next few years, the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics 2 years later, right? So what do they mean, guys, by this word extravaganza or extravaganzas? Do you guys know what that word means?
No.
An extravaganza, guys, is a big celebration, right? A big celebration. So the two extravaganzas that Brazil will have are the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics in 2016, right? Those are the two extravaganzas. And one of the things that makes this different from the Olympics, right, and different from the World Cup is they're saying that this celebration has a loose notion of competition that assigns little value to winning, right? What does that mean, guys? What do you think that means? A loose notion of competition that assigns little value to winning. If you guys want, I can describe smaller words. I can describe notion, I can describe competition, right? But what about just in general? What does this mean? Any ideas, guys?
Can you repeat the question, please, teacher?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, what do you guys think this means? A loose notion of competition that assigns little value to winning.
A loose notion competition. Where is it? Where is it?
I can help you guys out. It's actually in that second sentence, right? Or the third sentence, right? So right at the beginning. When it's saying that there's a loose notion of competition, it's saying that the focus in these Indigenous Games is not to win. The focus is not to win. In the Olympics, in the World Cup, everything is about winning, right? Gold Cup, number 1, number 2, number 3. Who is the best, you know? They don't care. These folks, these Indigenous Games, they don't care, right? They are worried about, they don't care about winning. They assign very little value.
They don't care who are gonna win or whatever.
Yeah.
They want just to play the game.
They want just to play. They want
and to show
to show their culture, right? I think we're saying.
Yeah, the culture. Yeah, their culture.
Yeah, they want to be able to show their culture. They want to be able to show what kind of culture they have, right? They don't care about winning, right? So, and then they're saying we're not looking to crown champions or find great athletes, right? We're not looking for that.
I've heard that there is a competition among them that, for instance, the most strong Indian will married with a woman.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? They made a competition between them, among them. So they are they will see who is the most who summarize who win the competition will marry with Indian.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not clear.
No, that's fine. It completely makes sense, Marcelo, right? The guy who wins or the man who wins will be able to choose maybe his wife, right? Or
Yeah,
will
yeah,
or maybe the most beautiful girl in the village, right? Will go to one of these champions, right? One of these champion men.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so they're actually saying, Marcelo, that that's a great way to begin, right? They're saying we're not looking to crown champions or find great athletes, said Carlos Tejena, right, organizer of the games, who, like many indigenous Brazilians, use his tribe's name as his surname, right? This isn't about competition. It's about celebration, right? Competition is more a thing for the Western world anyway, right? So this isn't about competition. It's about celebration. Competition is more a thing for the Western world. Competition is more something that the Western world cares about, right? Which is interesting because he is in the Western world. Brazil is in the Western world.
Yeah.
But he's saying this is something that is not in his culture, right? His more important for him is to celebrate his culture, right? Any
Yeah,
questions?
depends on of the tribe,
Yeah, it depends on the tribe, right?
the tribe. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the tribe. So this word tribe, guys, a tribe is, for example, a group of these people, right? So a family is usually a tribe. You have different groups. You have different groups of indigenous people. One of those is a tribe, right?
Yeah,
So
I said trib because in Brazil we say tribu.
tribu, yeah. In
Yeah,
Spanish we say tribu as well. Yeah, in Spanish
okay,
it's
okay.
tribu. Yeah, los tribus. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So then let's hear a little bit more, guys. More than 1,500 participants, right? 1,500, 1,500 participants from 48 Brazilian tribes. 48, that's a big number, right? As well as from more than a dozen other nations. So they came also from 12 other countries, right? More than 12 other countries descended this week on Cuiabá, the
Cuiabá.
capital, Cuiabá,
Yeah.
the capital of Mato Grosso. Where is Mato Grosso?
Mato
Uh,
Grosso,
yeah,
Amazon.
it's in the Amazon, so it's in the
Yeah, yeah,
northwest, right?
yeah.
Uh-huh. For the games that end Saturday, so the games will end on Saturday, right? All of the participants will earn medals carved from wood, seed, and other natural items. So their medals are natural metals, right? So they're from wood and seeds, right? They're not the gold and the silver that we see with the Olympics, right? Any questions, guys, on any of these paragraphs? Kwang, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Keep
I
Yeah,
think
going, teacher.
it's
Yeah.
it makes sense. Okay, awesome,
yeah.
guys. Thank you.
Go ahead.
The more traditional tribal sports are carried out as exhibitions rather than competitions. So the more traditional sports are actually exhibitions. They're just presentations, you know? Exhibition is the same as a presentation. It's not a competition. No one is saying, I won first, you won second, he won third. No, it's an exhibition, right? So it's just a presentation. So one of the crowd favorites, right? A crowd favorite, right, is a wild tree trunk relay race with 9 or more stout runners sprinting about 550 yards around a red dirt arena, taking turns carrying a 220-pound chunk of tree over their shoulders. Just getting to the finish line is considered a victory, right? So they have a tree carrying race, right? Just like we saw with those logs, they have a tree carrying race and 9 runners, they run around this circle arena, right? Maybe, I don't know if there's a picture, but they run around this arena and they have this 100 kilo chunk of tree on their shoulder, right? Very heavy. I mean, these guys are phenomenal athletes, right? Very, very strong athletes, right? And they are running around, they're having fun, but it's so tough that just getting to the finish line is considered a victory. You don't have to win. You don't have to beat the other people. Just get to the finish line, right? Just finish the race, right? Then there's another one. Another one is called Shikunahiti, maybe, or I don't know how to pronounce this. This sport is called Shikunahiti. Resembles soccer, but with players crawling along the ground. So they can only crawl on the ground, right? What does crawl mean, guys? Crawl is, for example, let's see, crawl. I gotta find a good animation for that. Or let's see, maybe we can do this. Crawl, guys, is when somebody is, like when a baby does this. This is crawl. Right?
It's a
This
it's
is
a
crawl.
kind of swim.
So it's a kind of movement, I think, Marcelo. No?
Movement or a kind of a way of swim.
You can swim in I guess you can maybe. This one shows that people are crawling like this, but honestly, actually, though, crawling is more this movement right here, Marcelo. So this one right here, right?
Okay.
When somebody is moving on the ground with their knees, yeah, that's called crawling. So it's just like football, the sport Shikunahiti, but the players are crawling on the ground, and they can only use their heads to push the ball forward. They cannot use any other parts of their body.
Resembles.
Resembles. The word resembles. I'm sorry, resembles. Yeah, resembles means is similar to, right? So something that resembles something is similar to something. In Spanish, we say parece.
Okay.
Tú me pareces muy lindo. Tú me pareces muy linda. You know.
Sim,
Tú me pareces.
parece too.
Parece, yeah.
Parece.
Something that Shikunahiti parece a football.
Similar.
Yeah, it's similar to football, right? So, but they can only use their heads, right? And several tribes have their own form of fighting. Several tribes have presented their own traditional forms of fighting. Most of them, excuse me, most of them, thank you. Most of them are wrestling or judo, right? So they look like wrestling or they look like judo, right? And then we see, for example, other events include archery, right? Archery is using the bow and arrow. So this is what we saw. This is archery right here, right? Archery. So there's archery. Then we also have, let's see. I'm going to go to the bottom. So let's see. The games are held on a 17-acre chunk of park with large white plastic tents dotting the land, each holding tables full of traditional crafts, like small pottery figures, wooden bowls, woven cloth, and delicately carved musical instruments meant to mimic the songs of jungle birds. Right? So this is a really nice paragraph. It's describing, guys, what this Indigenous Games has, right? So there are all these tables, right? And the tables have all the traditional crafts, small pieces of pottery, right? Bowls and cloth and musical instruments, right? All those things, right? Beautiful little things that they make with their hands, right? Other tables, they hold seeds of edible plants, dozens of types of seeds for edible plants, right? And food security is one of the biggest things that they are talking about at this event, actually, right? Because many of the indigenous people, they're losing their farms, they're losing their land, right? So they want to talk about food security. How can we save our land? How can we save our food? And so they have many types of their indigenous traditional food also that they're sharing with the people, right? So I'm going to stop there, guys, because it'll give us some time to kind of review what we are writing, or what we are reading here. And I just want to say one last thing, actually. I forgot this one last thing. So this last paragraph, I think, is very, very important. The person says, despite that fact that our languages are different, that our skin varies, we're uniting here with one heart, she said. That's the Indian way, right? One heart. Doesn't matter, we have so many languages, so many skin colors. We have one heart, right? So that it really is the celebration of this one amazing, it's this united belief, you know, we are the indigenous people, we have pride in our culture, we have pride in our language, we have pride in our our sports, our food, all of those kinds of things, right? So it's actually a very powerful moment, I think, for these people, right? And I was going to ask you guys, I mean, what do you guys think about this article, first of all? Did I just bore you guys for 10 minutes, or was it interesting? Marcelo, we'll start with you, please.
Yeah, I think interesting article, an amazing article. But even I don't know so much things about this article, but I think it's interesting, and
Yeah.
I have learned with those articles.
Did they speak about this in the Brazilian news by any chance, Marcelo? Did they say that this game was happening in?
No, no, it's not. It's not. It's they usually not talk. They don't talk about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's not common to see it on TV.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that they would be having that, but you know, it makes sense, I guess. Maybe that's the reason why we have these articles, right, or these discussions. Um, and Quang, what do you think about this culture that you see? I know Brazil is very far away from Vietnam, but you know, what do you think?
Yes, I think the article talk about the indigenous people, and they play a lot of games, but they are different from our games. They
Uh-huh.
play football, but they draw on the ground and use head. Okay, it's very interesting. And the government celebrate a lot of games for the indigenous people that they make better life, and we are human. We do not distinguish other people, and I think the originate people feel happy. They'll try to do better, and they want to devote um, their strength to develop the countries. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's yes, I think it's very good.
Do you think, Quang, that they should? How can they take their culture to the people? Because when you see they're having this celebration in the forest in a remote area, right? How can they take their culture to the people? Is it possible to do that, or should the people from the city, from the big cities, should the people come to them? What do you think is better, Kwang?
Um, I think they should organize the games annually.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to popular their games for the world. Some tourists come to visit, and they make the photo, and they use camera the games. They popular for the others do it, or they can post the video on the Facebook, Twitter, or it's I think it's very interesting. More and more people visit their village and to celebrate with them. The same in my country, teacher.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea, right? Social media now is a very interesting way to increase people's attention and idea. But do you think, Kwang, they would use social media because maybe social media is too Western for them, too modern for them?
I mentioned that the tourists, when the
Ah,
tourists come to their village, they use the ring along with the camera or um, something else. They use to take the photo or they make the video,
and then
and
they
they
can share
share,
that.
yeah, share with the other.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. And I mean, I think personally, I would love to know about these indigenous cultures. It's just that I don't know where to look. Honestly, that's the problem. We are living in this kind of internet crazy world, right? If some of them decide, oh, we can present our culture to the wider community, right? Why not to the international community, right? I think a lot of people would be extremely interested. I mean, I know Brazil is beautiful. It has all the beaches and the football and the sun and the amazing food, but so much of this country is also in the rainforest. I mean, huge part of Brazil is in the rainforest, where these people have lived in the rainforest for thousands of years. So we should respect that. Marcelo, I have a question for you as well. I was thinking about some of the things that we were talking about, and I mean, how do you agree with this article? I'm going to ask both of you guys, but I'm going to ask Marcelo first. So, do you agree that Western culture, modern society, is more concerned with competition than celebration? I mean, just 2 years from now, 3 years, Brazil will have World Cup and Olympics, right? Are we crazy about competition, or are we crazy about celebration? Which one is more important for us?
I think both. We have a huge celebration here in Brazil that I know that you have already.
Carnival, yeah.
Yeah, Carnival. It's just a celebration, but it's a kind of competition too, as well, because there are a lot of schools of samba, that they make a competition among them, to see who is gonna win, who is gonna make the most beautiful carnival, the most beautiful samba, or the most beautiful fantasies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's a kind of competition, not a competition. It's a kind of celebration. No, it's a competition. So celebration is to show the culture, the culture of Brazil. What else? Whatever. But football, talking about soccer here in Brazil, it's more competition than celebration, and I think the most players that we have here in Brazil, it's more about competition than celebration. Celebration is carnival. Carnival is celebration. That is, Brazil talked about the words is running away from my memory today. I think I needed some rest.
Yeah,
That's
right.
it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think Brazil has a unique kind of situation that you can have a country that has so much history in the indigenous world, and also so much history in the modern world, right? That you can have a celebration of, I mean, Carnival is kind of a celebration of the African and the Indian and the European all in the one package, right?
Yeah.
And it's a celebration. People are having a lot of fun, samba, dancing, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So it's an amazing experience that's combining all of these things. And I think really it's kind of amazing that Brazil is hosting the Indigenous Games, right? Because it's showing the rest of the world, right? 12 other countries also came to this celebration. It's showing the rest of the world Brazil still cares, right? Even though people in Rio and Rio Grande do Sul might not care, there are people in Amazonas, in other places in Brazil that still care about that, right? Which I think is really nice that they have that. Yeah, that's awesome, Marcelo. And Kwang, to ask you the same question, are we more concerned, Western people or modernized people, urban people, city people, are we more concerned with celebration, or I'm sorry, with competition compared to celebration, or should we, maybe it's different in Vietnam, honestly, Kwang, I don't know, but I would say in the United States, it's all about competition. Who's number one? Apple, Microsoft, who's number one? Facebook, Google, always, it's everywhere around us, right? You have to be the best, the number one person in everything. What do you think, Kwang?
Yes. Um, I don't know who is number one, but I think
Well,
um,
I mean, I think really, what is more important in Vietnam? Is it celebration, or is the society very focused on
yeah,
competition?
and they focus on celebration more than competition.
Uh-huh.
Because the prize is very small for the winner. But there are a lot of people to visit to celebrate the games. They buy the traditional craft.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they uh, they come together to see the indigenous people to express the traditional custom.
Mm-hmm.
They wear different clothes, and they can release the lantern on the river and release lantern in the air. It's very interesting. They
Mm-hmm.
watch, and they can celebrate the music, indigenous people music. It's very interesting. But the most important is racing ball. But a little people to watch the racing ball. Now
Mm-hmm.
they focus on salvation more than competition. Yeah, that's all, teacher. Yeah.
Which I think is great. I think that's great, Kwang. I think it's really great to see that there are societies where either both of the two things are equal, celebration and competition. For example, in Brazil, we see that with the Carnival, and also in other societies like in Vietnam, where you clearly see the people they honor their communities more than they honor winning, right? I mean, it's not about winning, right? It's always not about winning, right? Or I'm sorry, it's not always about winning, right? Because you see, for example, people can celebrate, people can have fun, people can learn from each other, even when it's a competition that is focused more on learning and on celebration than if it's a competition focused solely or completely on who's the gold medal, who's number one, who's number two, right? And with the Olympics, I guess, and with the World Cup, it's much more competition. But in Brazil, I think the World Cup is also going to be a lot of celebration. I mean, who knows? Maybe if Brazil wins this next World Cup, I think the country will go crazy. I mean, what do you think, Marcelo? I think the Brazil will just be the party of the world if Brazil wins the next World Cup, right? I mean, I think it's going to be a very, very fun experience for people all over the world. Yeah. So anyway, guys, just wanted to ask you guys any questions about the article. I know we looked at articles. I focused primarily on as A and N. I think you guys have been in the class before. And also, I wanted to focus on the indigenous tribes and these people. Any questions on any of that, guys?
It's no question, teacher.
No questions, Kwon?
No question,
And
teacher.
I'm
Thank you
sorry,
very
thanks,
much
great.
for your class, and sorry by my, I, as I said before, I'm not very well today. Just study English.
No worries, Marcelo. I'm glad to see you. I'll see you guys again soon. Take care,
Okay.
guys. Yeah.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care. It's like the Adha of the United States. Everybody eats. Everybody donates a lot of food to the poor people, for example, to family members. And the most important thing about Thanksgiving is actually turkey. So people eat a lot of turkey. I don't know if turkey is popular in Saudi Arabia or not, but it's larger than a chicken. Usually, it has a different
Yes, I
taste.
know it. I know it.
Yeah, yeah. Is it popular over there as well, or is it not that popular?
No, it is not popular, but sometimes people eat it, or rarely. You
Yeah,
see some people eat it.
rarely.
Yes.
Here it's actually a pretty common. Here it's pretty common. I just yesterday I had a turkey sandwich. They have chicken, they have turkey, they eat all kinds of things, but turkey is pretty popular here. But Thanksgiving it's extremely popular. I mean, everybody decides to eat turkey. The dinner table they each get a piece of turkey, so it's a nice experience for people. when they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
And let's
chicken?
see, let's
What
both.
about chicken? Is it
Chicken,
popular in the
people.
United States?
Oh, in the United States, yeah, super popular, super popular. Everybody eats chicken, but it's also one of those
Which is
situations.
most? Which one is most popular?
Definitely
Turkey
chicken.
or
Definitely chicken.
yeah?
Talking about articles, right? Articles are kind of it's a topic that may seem simple when you first look at it, right? But in reality, excuse me. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, I had a sneeze attack my last class, and I think the same thing will happen in this class. I apologize for that, guys. So when we talk about articles, guys, right? Articles may seem a little difficult, right? Or they may seem simple actually, but they actually have specific kind of rules and ways you use them that make them important in English, right? Usually when we talk about articles, we talk about three different words. We talk about the or the, depending on how you pronounce it, a, and an, right? So these are the three primary examples of articles in English, right? And we use them different ways. We use them different ways. A and an are related to each other, but the is a little bit more nebulous. It's sometimes we use it for specific things. Sometimes we use it for a little bit more kind of general things, right? So we have some new people. Marcelo, professor, tudo beleza, professor?
Tudo beleza, professor? Como vai?
Muito bem, muito bem. Você?
Tudo bem também?
Great, fantastic. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I just got your
Obrigado.
I just got your message. For us, this week is actually one of the most busy weeks for travel and for holidays in the United States because we have it's the Thanksgiving weekend. So Thursday, and then Thursday is considered the main day for celebration. Thanksgiving, yeah, it's like it's a day of celebration. It's a more historical day, you know, when in the early 16th or in the early 17th century, or I should say the late 17th century, so in the 1600s, 1660, that neighborhood, when the Europeans first came to North America, they had help from the native population, and they were able to kind of design their future. They were able to survive the winter, survive all of the difficulties of 300 years ago when they came to this country, and they used this day to thank God for surviving the winter, for surviving all the troubles that they had. So it's a day that we use to give thanks, right? It's not a religious holiday, just a secular, people are thankful for what they do, and the principal attracting element is food, lots of food. It's like the Eid al-Adha. Yeah, 100%. Definitely, chicken is more popular, but turkey is also you see it in many places, restaurants, sandwich meat. If you go to a cafe or something like that, they will probably have something with chicken, something with turkey, something with ham, and something vegetarian. Beef is you can also maybe find beef or ham, and then something vegetarian. So 4 or 5 popular options, most places. Yeah. Hey, Laura, how's it going?
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. It's morning here too. Exactly. What time is it over there? Is it 10 o'clock?
Well, actually, it's 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Wow. Okay, so you guys are 5 hours ahead of me now. I'm in California, so 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
we are not in morning anymore now. But
It's good afternoon.
for me, it's like a morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. That's great. We have a good number of students actually. This class time was actually very popular a few days ago. Maybe like 6 or 7 students. But things happen. I guess today's a work day, so it's understandable that maybe people are busy. So we'll get started, guys. We'll get gradually started in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Today we're going to be
Who's going?
Things are
with
great.
you?
Things are great. Yeah, things are great. Beautiful
What?
day. No, I was asking how is the weather down there
Nothing
in
have to say?
Jeddah?
It is a great, yes. But I see you
Nice.
have glasses. I don't know if it is the first time you wear glasses or what. I
Oh
think
no,
you
I've always worn glasses. Always.
you may be you may change your glasses.
Maybe.
Is it the
I don't
same?
remember, but maybe. I think it is the same actually, Humoy. I think it's the same.
Okay. But I see
Yeah.
something changeable. I don't know what it is.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe it's a good change. Hopefully it's a good change, right?
Okay.
Let's see. I'm just going to do
Maybe
one
the
thing.
board. Is it a
Maybe
board
the
or
what? Oh
is
yeah,
it?
this board in the back. Yep. This board in the back is new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, right? And yeah, how was your weekend? Did you do, or I guess the weekend was a few days ago. How was your Friday? Last week, did you do anything interesting?
Actually, nothing special. Just to stay home.
Just staying at home.
Yes.
Nice. That's good. And sometimes it's good to relax at home sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else coming up.